Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Liam Craft Jr., aka Zoralchan Less Than Guru, and today I'm going to go over my Squire. So, in Palladium First Edition, the Squire was one of the optional occupational character classes, and I decided to just put it right into the Men of Arms because I feel that my Men of Arms are the ones that get automatic parry. Um, I felt that the Squire definitely should be a Men of Arms to get that automatic parry. It made sense, and just having that be a man of arms is something that I wanted instead of it having it be an optional occupation like merchant and noble and things like that. I just felt the squire more firmly fit into men of arms. So a squire can go secular and they can be attached to a knight, or they can be religious and be attached to a paladin. So that's men of arms is my knight, and paladins are my clergy. So a squire could be a squire to either. It would depend if they want to go secular or if they want to go religious or divine. So that's a choice that the squire player character can make. And then the knight, as I talked about in my knight rundown, they will gain a squire at 6th level. I have a game right now where I have a character that is a paladin, and I have another player character that is a squire, and they could be a knight and a squire, and then when the paladin gets the 6th level, he would gain an additional squire. So your squire, you could choose it to attach it to another player character, which is what my group did, or you could have them be attached to another knight and off doing squire things that the knight doesn't really want to do, and that's why they can adventure or figure out how you do that in your own game. Or maybe your knight or paladin was killed and now you are a squire that doesn't have the title nobility or the attachment of the divine in them, but is on a like vengeance quest or something like that. So you can work that out. The attribute requirements are the same as in the core book. They can be any alignment. They are those men of arms physical conditioning of 8 that I've talked about, and they can wear heavy armor and that. So and they can be great fighters. So tier 1 armor, no restrictions. Occupational skills, they get hand-to-hand squire. It's something that I might have changed from one of the other hand-hands, or I might have just made it whole cloth. I can't remember at this time. But I also give them horsemanship knight. There are ones that are going to be caring for knights, and horsemanship knight and paladin in general are the ones that gain the care and feeding and taking care of the mount. So I felt a squire should at least know as much as a knight. And knight horsemanship knight is one of the very few things that the knight version is a little bit better in my opinion than the paladin version. So the squire taking care of his knight or paladin, I wanted it to be the top tier of horsemanship, so that's why I gave him the knight. The level chart, again, you gain something every level, even if it's a handful of shock points or hit points. But at first level, it's just these are your 9 elective skills and 8 secondary, your elective and secondary skills, which is straight from the book. At level 2, they gain additional 2 HP. 3 and 4 is when you get the elective skills, and then you get the additional secondary skills. It's really close to what Palladium has, if not the exact same. It's just that I have it marked out as this is when you get it. So instead of having to read a big wall of text, you can come here, you can look at your level, and this is what I get, and you know to choose that. At level 5, you get the additional shock points. At level 6, you get 2 elective skills. 7, some more hit points. 8, Squire Shield, special ability. We'll get to that. 3 shock points at 9. Secondary skills at 10. Embodiment, which is something that, depending on if you're a squire of a knight or paladin, will be a little bit different. 12, is a couple of elective skills. 13 is hit points. 14 is secondary skill. 15 is shock points. So shock point, hit point, shock points with some other stuff filled in there. Elective skills, these are the ones that you are allowed to take. Weapon proficiency, any except longbow. So they can unlike the knight, who kind of feels that bows are lower, um, a squire could use a bow. They get their hands dirty so that their knight or paladin doesn't have to. Um, so that's one of the things with the weapon proficiency. Second or crossbow. Secondary skills, these they can choose any, but these are the ones that give them bonuses. And then we'll get to the abilities. Squire Shield is the squire can parry attacks aimed at allies next to him if they are within 2 meters or yards. The ability uses an action. It does require a skill, so they are going to spend an action, but they can parry somebody that they're meant to protect. That's one of the things I see squires. They're not just the I put on the armor of my knight or paladin and I take care of his horses. They also are protectors. They look up to their paladins who are protectors. So they could be very also similar to how I talked about the longbowmen using their bows to parry arrows and missile weapons that are being shot at people. The squire can protect those on either side, or within the 2 yards or meters that they can parry for them. So that's really good to protect wizards and priests and things like that. At level 11, which is pretty far up there, they get embodiment. So the squire becomes in some way an expression of his knight or paladin and learns either end righteously, which is in my knight hand to hand the future when I go over, I had to change hand to hand and why I changed some of their leveling up. I gave the knight an ability called end righteously. So if you are a squire to a knight who gained that at like 7th level, I think, then this one you would gain at 11th level. So it takes you longer, but you've seen how you've basically been taught and you learn their ability. And then they get Harming Smite, which is a level 2 paladin ability that is based sort of off of Harming Touch. I've altered it a few times, and completely unintentionally, it's very close to the paladin. Maybe it's called Divine Strike in D&D 5th edition. I did not in any way want it to be that. It just ended up being similar to that. But they can get that Harming Smite, a grant from the paladin's deity, as you have been a faithful squire to my paladin, who I have blessed with divine powers. So it will allow you to channel his energy or the harming smite through you. So that is what embodiment is. And then the starting equipment, and then again the experience chart. The red is what you need if you are going from one occupation to the squire. So then you would need 2,000. You would freeze your experience. That experience in your first occupation would not go away, but it would be frozen. You would gain 2,000. Then you would become level 1. That 2,000 goes away, and then you need another 2,000 to get to level 2. So that's how multi-classing or switching occupations in Palladium is done. So that is my squire. And once again, I'm Liam Crafton Jr., aka Zorvalchon, Less Than Guru, and until next time, I will catch you later.